All right. Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to Klear channel. What's up, Kyle? Good to see you, buddy.
You too, Ken. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thanks for jumping on this morning. I would assume this is some of your team that's joining the call today as well. So
You
we
got it.
appreciate you guys getting on and being a part of our Klear channel. Just so you guys know that are new onto the call today, I know we have some people in our office. We have people across the country joining this morning. So first things first, I need to ask you a favor since we have some new faces on the call and we have new faces in our office. I need you guys all to pull out your cell phone, not if you're driving because you need to drive safely, but pull out your cell phone. Thank you, Blair. I see you there pulling out your cell phone. I need you to go to YouTube. You know, it's that app that you go on to a lot. Go onto YouTube, type in Klear channel, Klear channel, and you're gonna see my face. If you could pull up the app, pull up the Klear channel. If you could please subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. You know, my goal is to be at 1,000 subscribers by the end of summer. So I really appreciate you taking the time to do that. You know, I launched this Klear channel about 8 months ago, you know, as the pandemic was happening. You know, there's a lot of things that I think we all learned about ourselves and about business and life. And one of the things that I realized is I'm on this planet for a reason. And I believe the reason I'm here is to help change the world one leader at a time. So I appreciate you guys getting on this morning. I know, again, there's a lot of familiar and unfamiliar faces that are getting on. If you find value, share this with your friends, share this with your team, share this with your families, whoever. You know, I've had even people come up to me in my family. My mom's side of the family is Colombian, and I have some cousins that are subscribed to this YouTube channel, and they've gotten to know me, quote unquote, over the years of business and entrepreneurship. And I've actually inspired a few of them to start their own businesses and build their own futures. So I'm really, really proud of that. I'm making a difference, not just in my family, but with a lot of you guys. So again, if you're just joining, go to your YouTube, please, on your cell phone, Klear channel, please subscribe. That's all I asked for this morning for taking the time. So, all right, so I'm going to jump right in, guys. So today I'm going to talk about how to compete in today's climate. How to compete in today's climate. There's a lot of people on this morning, in my opinion, and I'm sure you're just like me, that you want to get ahead, you want to grow, you want to have a great life, and have great relationships. So I just have a list of 3 things I'm going to talk about. So number 1, how to compete in today's climate. Authenticity. Authenticity. What does it mean to be authentic? So I looked it up. I looked up the definition. It says relating to or denoting an emotionally appropriate, significant, purposive, and responsible mode of human life. What the heck does that mean? I have no idea. But what it means is you have to be you. You have to be you. Don't be anyone else. Don't be your brother. Don't be your mom. Don't be your husband, your wife. Don't be your friend. Be you. Now, I'm not saying that you don't need to change, because if you want to be successful, it's an inside-outside process. You have to change yourself inside before you're going to grow in your outside world. And if you need to grow and you want to grow, especially in a career or in life, it's going to be challenging. So give an example. If you're boring and people don't like hanging out with you, you're probably not going to be a very good leader. There's a certain level of charisma and certain level of people want to be around you that's necessary to lead, right? So trust me, no one will follow you if you're not fun to be around. If you don't have anything to offer them, if you don't have strong values, if you don't have strong character, if you don't treat people well. You know, my son and I, it was kind of interesting, the world of Michigan last 2 days. storms are coming through the Midwest and everything else, and our power was knocked out in some of the suburbs in Michigan, and my power is out since 2:57 on Wednesday, 3 minutes before the Euro semifinal. That was an interesting timing. Last night the power is still out, so I was here at the office. Thankfully, the office wasn't knocked out. Doing what I had to do. My kids were by playing in the back. We have a big room in the back, ping pong tables and pool tables. And then my son and I go to Red Robin around the corner. We got some burgers and milkshakes. It's nothing a root beer float doesn't fix for a little guy when the power is out. He can't play on his video games. And of course, this young lady, she's serving me and a couple other tables. And of course, my son and I are, in my opinion, the nicest people she'll meet in a day. And there's another table full of, I'd say, people that are a little bit younger, maybe in their teenage years, that were incredibly rude to her and not nice. And, if you're that person and you're trying to lead people in life and business, that just people are gonna, they're not gonna be around you. So keep in mind, you gotta treat people really well. You gotta have great character. And then again, a lot of you guys are on this call, you're in sales, right? You're learning sales, you're learning leadership. Attitude has to be the cornerstone of who you are. And I mean a positive attitude. When things don't go your way, and I know in what I'm doing and in the program we're on, there's a lot of order placement scenarios where you have to use different softwares and acquiring things, and there's information we need to get, and there's customers that'll go through the whole scenario, spend 30 minutes with you, spend 45 minutes with you, and for whatever reason, right at the end, they'll be like, you know what, I decided not to do this. And that's it's heart-wrenching. I remember that. I know that feeling. It is not good. But you have to have enough confidence in what you're doing and who you are to know, hey, okay, no big deal. Move on to the next one. Because again, as a leader, how you respond to negatives, some people turn around and say, oh, the program, oh, the business, oh, the customer, oh, blah, blah, blah. Well, if that's you, it's going to be hard to lead people, right? And trust me, I had to go through those stages of my career, and I had to make those mistakes, then learn what didn't work to know what does work. And my goal is to help save you some time. Now, when I say to be you and to be authentic, I played a song. We started the call today, the T.I., I think it was, Live Your Life. That was pretty popular, about, 20 years ago when I was 7 years old. And it says, live your life, be who you are. And, and when I say live your life, there's so many people in today's world, that are beating themselves up in the conversations they have. There's a conversation I had in the last week, about never say anything to yourself that you wouldn't say to someone else. Never say, I'm going to say it again, never say anything to yourself that you wouldn't say to someone else. Things like, oh, I'm not good enough. Oh, it's not meant for me. Oh, I may be not good in sales. Oh, I may not be a great leader. Oh, it's not going to work for me. Those are all just limiting beliefs. Those are all just things that people do when they're not in the right mindset and they're not, thinking right. I found a quote that says the most expensive rent is the one in your head. The most expensive rent, because it determines everything. It determines what you're going to accomplish on this planet. It determines what you're going to do in life, the type of relationships you have. If you're married like I am, like how I treat Sarah and how I treat my boys, right? In business, it's going to determine how much you grow, how quickly you grow, how much you perform, right? I believe you are God's highest form of creation, that you are meant to succeed. You're meant to grow. You're meant to accomplish. You're meant to live. They say that today compared to 20 years ago that antidepressants are being described 400 times more than 20 years ago. Recent graduates have been surveyed that they're more unhappy than ever than in the history of graduation. And, and listen, I'm a believer that, hey, the world was pretty similar 20 years ago. People still had similar things, and I just know that if you have the right habits, you make the right decisions, And there's definitely challenges in the world. And I've been through a lot of them myself with all the cancer that's in my family, unfortunately, and all the big things that have changed over the last 10 years. But I'm telling you that you have to be yourself, you have to be authentic, and you have to really take time for you. And so what I'm telling you is stop comparing yourself to other people. Stop looking at Instagram. Stop looking at Facebook and thinking that what people are posting on there is their actual life. They're not posting all the bad shit. They're posting only the shit you want to see or they want to show you, right? So live your life. And the reality is their life sucks sometimes too. You know what I mean? It's not all perfect, and neither is ours, right? Things do happen. All right. So that's number one, is you gotta be authentic. You gotta be authentic self. And especially if you're new into organizations, you're new into teams. And that's hard to put yourself out there because, again, unfortunately, the world will judge you. And listen, that's on them. If they judge people in a certain way, that's on them. That's not about you. So keep that in mind. So again, number one is to be authentic. If you want to compete in today's climate, be you, be the best you, and that's going to give you the best advantage to do well. All right, so number two, to compete in today's climate is the speed of your evolution. The speed of your evolution will make a huge difference on how quickly you will succeed. And so what that means is, how long does it take you to adjust? How long does it take you to be in a training session, to be in a coaching opportunity, and actually pivot like Friends back in the day, for you guys that know that show? Pivot. Sorry, I have 2 or 3 people laughing in this call. Most of you guys probably never seen it. So, but you pivot and you grow, right? How long does it take you to pivot? Now, I can tell you again, from my own experience, I was so stubborn for so long, and it was so dumb. I would have gotten ahead so much faster if I would have just listened to, and again, keep in mind, people giving you advice, they have to be qualified to give you advice. I don't take financial advice from people that are broke. Simple example, right? It makes no sense. I take advice from accountants who help people create millions of dollars in passive income. I take advice from multimillionaires who are some of my coaches. That's the advice I take when it comes to finances. So, but if you're stubborn by nature like me, then stop doing that. Start listening, start opening your ears. And most importantly, when you start listening, start applying what people are telling you, that are in a position that you want to be in, that are living a life worth living, that are living a life that you want to have. Start listening. And again, for me, unfortunately, in my career, it took 4 or 5 different times people telling me the same advice, and it's like, oh wait, I've heard this before, like 5 times. I'm like, oh shit, I probably should start listening, right? Which was such a waste of time. If I would have just listened and learned and applied, I would have gotten ahead so much quicker. But trust me when I tell you, the best students win. So I'll give an example on calls like this. When I was in my 20s and we got a chance to meet people that had somewhat of a career, somewhat of a business that I wanted to have someday, I was constantly taking notes. I would take my notes and I would type them up on my computer, and I would start creating files of different pieces of leadership. I had a mentality folder, I had a training folder, I had a sales folder, and I literally started collecting information. I have literally in the desk behind me, I have 5 binders that are about 3 inches thick, full of information that I constantly look through to remind myself of all the basics of of the business I built. But Warren Buffett says the most important investment you can make is an investment in yourself. The most important investment you can make is an investment in yourself. And so a motto that I have that is actually right here on the wall, it says, think like a champion, play like a champion, prepare like a champion, anticipate like a champion. I used to think that some people in sports were just lucky that they scored goals. And again, being a soccer player, playing in college, and doing all these things that I did in sports, it used to frustrate me a lot that I didn't score more. And then I used to see other people that happen to be in the right place at the right time. The ball just like bounces to their feet, and they just literally easy touch-ins. And but what I started to realize, as I started watching game tapes and I started working with one of my assistant coaches, was some of those guys that got those opportunities, we would watch them where the play started and how it like built, and then they happen to be in the right spot at the right time. And what it was is they anticipated it. They read the situation, they read the game, they read everybody else, and they positioned themselves to be in front of the net at the right time. And I think that's the same thing that can happen in business. If you start preparing, you start thinking, you start, again, being a student of the game, you're going to get a chance to get in front of some amazing people. And I met some incredible people over my career. I mean, people in the music industry, people in the TV business, people that are outside of our business that have built massive companies. I met the guy who, that I was going to say that started, not Penske, but the other moving company. What's the other moving company? I'm thinking off the top of my head. Somebody help me out here.
Uhaul?
That a boy, Jared. That a boy. Yeah, I met the founder of Uhaul one time at lunch. I was meeting with one of my coaches, Gary. And this guy walks up and says, "Hey, how are you, Gary? Good to see you." And he started talking. We're in Brentwood, California. And Gary, the guy leaves, and Gary goes, "Oh, the guy's got the coolest gig. He was just swimming off the coast of South Africa with sharks, taking pictures and blah blah." And I'm like, "What?" I was like, "Who does that?" And he goes, "Yeah," and he does it for me. He's a football coach. He does things, and the guy was probably in his early 50s. And I said, "Well, what is he? He's got to be an entrepreneur. What kind of business did he build or whatever?" And he goes, "Oh, his family owns a company called Uhaul." He's like, "You ever heard of it?" And I was like, "Have I ever moved?" Yes, I'm familiar with Uhaul. Every single time I use the Uhaul. So, but you just get it, and we sat and we got a chance to like chat with this guy for 10, 15 minutes, and it's interesting what life happens. Now, when the ball bounces your way and you're an amazing student and things start happening for you, again, another Warren Buffett quote is, it says, "It takes 20 minutes to build a reputation, 5 minutes to ruin it." So think about that. It's super, super important to have character. Again, super, super important to treat people well. So you can build an incredible business, an incredible life, but if you make a silly decision, it could ruin it all. My buddy Jared in the office here, I sent him a message about some golfers recently, and I won't say any names or whatever because it's just coming out or whatever. A golfer in Latin America that's in jail for 2 years because he's mistreated people, who was actually almost won the Masters a few years ago. And it's just crazy that people have done so well in sports and certain things, and they make silly decisions. Another thing I would say to you guys is, you're thinking about being a student, I would think about who your heroes are. Like, who are the people you look up to? One of the things I've learned recently as I get to know people, I'm just like, I ask questions. I like, tell me about your family. Tell me about, what motivates you, who inspires you. And one of the things I've realized is when I learn about people's heroes, I start learning about who they want to be, who they want to be like. And I know there's a few heroes in my world, to say the least, including my parents and some of my uncles. But one of the most important things to do is choose the right heroes. Choose the right people to follow, because not everyone's worth following. And and I heard, when I was working with someone recently, I was talking a lot about their goals, and we were talking through some of the people to look up to, and they were a bit frustrated. And they hadn't gotten promoted when they wanted to get promoted. They're taking too long to hit their goal. Like, it wasn't happening as fast as they wanted to. And I don't know if you guys know do you guys know the story of the bamboo, and kind of how that all works and how bamboo grows? But a bamboo is it's an interesting thing. It's an interesting My wife and I, when we traveled to Hawaii for our honeymoon, obviously saw a lot of these bamboo, but essentially bamboo takes many, many years of growing underneath the earth. You can't see anything. And then once it, at a period of time, at one point it hits the earth and it comes above ground. And literally in the next, 10 to 24 months, the bamboo takes off 10, 15, 20 feet. And the story of the bamboo, if you ever look it up or whatever, it just talks about how there's so much going on underneath that nothing, you can't see the change, you can't see the growth, you can't see the bamboo. And I think that's the case in business too. There's so many things that are changing and evolving and growing inside of everyone on this call, and just in general, when you want to accomplish things, you don't always see it. You don't always see that. You want to see, the changes and everything, but really it's a feeling. It's a confidence that's building. And then at certain points, things start happening and things start moving, and people's careers just take off very, very quickly. So my point there is, get a coach. A lot of perspective they'll give you. This is one thing I love doing in what I do, as I love giving people perspective and frankly, helping them relax a little bit, have a better day. Because I know over the course of time, as people become more patient and they trust the process, then they're going to hit their goals and it's going to take off on them. So number two, like I said, is the speed of evolution. Quick decisions and being a great student will help you grow. All right, and then last but not least is to enjoy the ride. Enjoy the ride. It's like a roller coaster. There's some people on the roller coaster like me, because I'm a little scared of heights. I'm holding on like freaking crazy. And then there's people like my wife who's like, woo, putting their hands up, and she's nuts. She's nuts. But I just remember, and I think back of my career, right? I've 20 years now almost in business, starting a company at 23 years old, nowadays starting different programs in the business I'm in and launching different projects. And we've obviously, I don't know, at this point, I've helped like 30 people run companies all over the country. And I just remember driving, like some of the story along the way. Like I remember my first couple of weeks, and I was 22 years old, driving home from my new sales gig I just got in New Jersey. I remember calling my mom and dad in South Florida. And my mom and dad in South Florida, they would answer in the house phone. One would answer one phone, and the other one would run the other room and answer the other phone. And because they're a bit older at this point, they couldn't hear. They'd be like, my mom would be like, honey, what did he say? I'm like, will you guys just go in the same spot so I can talk to you both? You know what I mean? Like, no, I like sitting on my couch. I like sitting on my chair. You know what I mean? And it's like, they wouldn't hear me. And so I'm explaining to them what I'm doing. I'm doing business to business sales based on commission. And my mom's like, hold on, you have no car? Because I drove my grandmother's like 1984 Corsica with an automatic seatbelt, like a piece of junk that was falling apart. She's like, you have no car, you have no apartment. So keep in mind, I lived at grandmother's house in a retirement community, right? And with old people. And she's like, and you have no salary? Honey, oh no. And it's cold out. It's February in New Jersey. You don't even have a coat. And I'm like, Mom, just like, and my dad's like, I don't understand. What's this? You learn sales, and then you're gonna learn leadership. Again, they're like engineers and architects, so a totally different world than what you're used to. And I remember that conversation. I remember like it was yesterday, and trying to explain them what I was doing. And really, I didn't really know what I was doing. I was so young in business, and trying to explain it made no sense. And then I remember my rookie year, my brand new business owner. I'm 23 years old. And, we went to a family reunion because, we do those every so often in my dad's side of the family. And I walk into the room at my my uncle's house, and my brother's sitting on the couch with my two other uncles that used to go watch me play soccer at Penn State all the time. And he's like, my brother goes, yeah, can you believe it? Kenny runs a company now. He's like 23 years old. Man, they must be fucking crazy letting him run a company. You know what I mean? Like, what's wrong with these people? Who thinks that he can run a company? And I'm like, he's my older brother. So older brothers, they do that. They give you shit. You know what I mean? And I'm like, yeah, I guess. And hey, I was like, here, Jeffrey, here's my business card. And I gave it around to my uncles. They're like, this is your company? Like, and you work with AT&T, one of the biggest brands in the world? Like, how does that work? And I was like, I didn't want to explain the whole thing over a beer on the couch in my uncle's house, but again, my older brother's always given me shit, so I would expect nothing less, from my brother. And then I remember, early in my career, after my first year in business, when I went from driving grandma's piece of junk Corsica to getting a little Honda Accord, my first car I ever bought on my own. And then I went from the Honda Accord and going into the BMW dealership in Ohio and Columbus, and walking in at 23, 24 years old, and looking at some of the 330i's and the M3s and the L's. And I remember the guy coming up to me, and I said, "Hey, I was looking at this 330i M3 package, black on black, titanium interior, 22-inch wheels. I found it online before I came in. Do you guys still have it?" And he looks up at me, he looks down, and again, I think I still have a baby face. I don't know. But back then at 23, I definitely had a baby face. And he pulls out this little list of things, and he's like, "No, sorry, man, we don't have that car anymore. Let me know if you have any questions." I was like, "Cool." And I'm like, "Dude, that guy totally just judged me." He probably in the back of his mind is like, "What's this kid doing in my dealership?" And so I walked away, and one of my buddies was with me, and he goes, "Hey, by the way, here's his business card. Give him a call if it ever comes in." And I was like, whatever. And then the guy stands up and goes, "Oh, yeah, Mr. Lear, yeah, for sure. I'll give you a call anytime." But he looked at my business card and it said president on it. Like all of a sudden, like things were different, right? That because I had a business card that said president, that I was, possibly able to buy a car there. And so, and again, that was just one of those times that I'm, people will judge you. People will prejudge you. And you know what? That's on them. That's not on you. And then I also remember along the way, all the business trips. I remember all the road trips to conferences. I remember going to Toronto for the first time. I remember going to Chicago, to LA, to Dallas. I mean, all these different places. I've been to pretty much every major market at this point. And then obviously all the World Cup trips that I've been on. And, I know there's another World Cup coming up next year that I'm excited to go to Qatar and things. I know I'm emailing some of the people that helped me set up the last couple World Cup trips recently. And looking to hopefully the U.S. qualifies this time for all the people like U.S. soccer, and I want to be at some of those games. And my hope is that Colombia actually plays better than they played against Argentina a couple of nights ago. But yeah, listen. So my point in general is you got to enjoy the ride. When you enjoy the ride, life is just so much easier. You'll grow so much faster, and you'll get ahead, and frankly you'll actually have great relationships along the way. Because when I was in places along my career where I wasn't happy with my situation, and I was frustrated, it came out in my relationships. It came out in how I showed up in life, and it was just just not necessary. But last but not least, you gotta compete. You gotta compete. So when I say that, and while you enjoy the ride, and although it can be frustrating that you may not grow as fast as you want to, you gotta compete. Now, some people would tell you don't compete with other people, compete with yourself. I will tell you, do whatever works for you. Listen, when I was in my 20s, I enjoyed competing with other people. I enjoyed talking smack to people in the office. I enjoyed, coming in and bumping an elbow with a buddy in the office and doing my thing. I enjoyed that. I'm a competitor. I enjoyed, playing pool, ping pong, golf, whatever, and putting, a beer on the line after a day of sales. Like I enjoyed that. And that got me really motivated. But long term, I will tell you, you should never compete with anyone but yourself. You should never compete with anyone but yourself. And again, as you compete with yourself, sometimes I my notes here, I put a dartboard up of the person that you think's your competitor and throw darts at them. I did that. Like that's one thing I did to get me fired up and get me motivated. But whatever works for you, you got to compete. You got to raise the bar. And hey, listen, when you set goals, all I'm telling you, if you set your goals at, whatever that is, say it's a certain level of sales, a number, trust me when I tell you, raise it 30%. The next time you do your goals, when you're thinking about it, my goal this week is X, raise it 30%. Psychologically, you will grow and you'll go after it more when you raise your goals more, right? So trust me when I tell you, when you set goals, and oftentimes when we're doing things, we have limiting beliefs. Limiting beliefs, in my eyes, I call it little bitch voice. So get rid of the little bitch voice. Remove the limiting beliefs. Believe in yourself that you can accomplish, because you can, and get out and get it. So happy Friday, everybody. Thanks for jumping on today. Appreciate it. If you're on, before we got started, please jump on YouTube, Klear channel, subscribe. I know how many subscriptions we had this morning. I see a lot of new faces on today, so I'm looking forward to see how much we grow today. But happy Friday. Have an amazing week. We'll talk to you guys very, very soon. Every Friday, same time, same place. Take care, guys.